Welcome back to the channel. I want to show you guys some custom curve options today. One that won't break your image when you're trying to use a qualifier or isolated color. And I also want to just say thanks to all the recent subscribers. It's always cool to see a big spike in subscribers. So appreciate that. Welcome aboard. So on this first clip, I want to show you guys delinking your custom curve. A lot of times we grab a little point here in the high range and bring the image up in brightness. And then you come down towards the bottom and sort of tuck it down to stretch the image a bit. And that makes it a little more contrasty and rich. And that's nothing wrong with doing that, of course. But here's a little technique. I'm actually going to delink the chain here and choose our red channel. And I'm going to go about midway up and just pull this back a little bit. And look how much more inviting the water looks and the green level of the trees. Let's just do a little before after. And then the cool thing about doing it this way is the peak of the red and the low of the red end up staying intact. And you're really just messing with the mid-range. So if we toggle this on and off, you can kind of see what this is doing. A little bit of a shift, but the brightness stays the same and the black level is just sitting right here down at the baseline. Another quick tip I wanted to show you is the snapping feature in the custom curve. So sometimes when you're looking at your image and you want to see how things are getting manipulated, let's say we make a couple points down here and you have one here, you can move it around, but you wanted it to go back to default. You can hit Option and start dragging and you'll get this extra line that appears right here. As long as you drag toward it, as you could maybe see, it snaps into the default value. Now this is also cool for having a safety anchor point. So if I add another point down here, so now if we manipulate a point between the two safety points, everything above and below is preserved. So we can look and see how this is manipulating the image. And if we need to slide it up a little bit more, we can, or go even higher. That's a good way to check what your changes are doing while you're not messing with anything in between these safety ranges. So I thought the little snapping feature, I just discovered that, and I thought it was pretty helpful. All right, with the next clip, I want to show you guys another feature in here, and this is sort of like color slice in a way. If we go to the third icon over, this is called hue versus sat. So what this does will let you qualify a color and have some control over the saturation and density. And it's not like using the qualifier. And let me show you. If we go to the qualifier and say, grab this background, you can see when it highlights all this noise and garbage that comes up, all the compression blocking. Now you could clean that up with some adjustments. And sometimes this is what you have to do if you're trying to comp something or key it. But in this case, if we're just looking to adjust a color, we're going to grab one of the values by the orange or reddish orange. As you can see, this came here. You could also use these little dots in the bottom. And another thing that works really well is spreading out the amount of spectrum. So if we go too tight, kind of like an EQ, it's a little more too aggressive. So you can actually make another dot and then right click to delete. And then maybe put one at the bottom here. So now we have from this point to this point is more of our tonal range. So if we come up or down, you can see just that's getting affected. It's pretty nice. So let's do the other example with the background here. With the blue, you can see we added a dot here and we could desaturate that or just change the color values. So another cool tool where it doesn't actually break the image and you don't have to mess with all those parameters, at least for qualifying a color. The next thing I want to show you is back on our regular custom curves. Down here at the bottom, we have soft clipping. Now we don't have the luminance value, but we have RGB. So let's go ahead and here's what I wanted to show you is this blown out section of the sun. If we pull down the peak here, you see how all these are clipped. That means there's no other data there. It was just overexposed. So rather than pulling it down like we did here, I'm going to pull it down a little bit just so we can watch what happens. But if I pull that down, let's pull down the highs. So now you can see the ultra highs over here next to this peak are starting to roll down. And this diffuses it in a way that's a little more natural. And then if we move the high soft, that's going to take it down too. You got to go a little bit higher on this. But this actually, as you can see, especially when we roll this down in conjunction, it really softens the image and it's just a little more natural than just cranking it down like this. Another thing I wanted to just show you, some of these controls can help tame the high and the shadows actually, much like it would over in the qualifier. You kind of have these same parameters with your soft and low soft over here, depending on the color that you pick. So it works similarly to this, but it's over here in the custom curves, and it's a good way to kind of tame the extreme low and high on an image if you're wanting to leave the peaks where they're at. So just something to be aware of. All right. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video.